Good morning. I want to welcome all my subscribers. Thank you so much for being here with me. Today is Sunday, the 28th of June. I was woken up in the early hours of this morning with some messages from Spirit that have been coming through quite strongly. And what happens on these platforms, these channels with readers and psychics and clairvoyants, tarot readers, is we rely on the collective energy of our viewers to guide the energetic input that needs to be put into the messages. So we're all setting intentions for each other to learn from the messages that are coming through from Spirit. And please understand that when these messages come through for me, I am called to deliver them. It is impressed on my heart, on my sternum. I feel it in my nervous system that these messages are extremely important. Otherwise, I would not be here. And I certainly would not be talking to the large group of men subscribers, and specifically Indian men subscribers on this channel, if it wasn't for the journey that I've been through. I want to call on God, Source and Spirit specifically today, right here and now, between us, for protection, so that these messages that I have to impart to you can be heard with new ears, and so that you can see in the deeper parts of the self where reform, acceptance, renunciation, and all of these other attributes that help shift our perspectives, that inspire change and transformation, that they will settle in the right space for you, so that each one of you can hear the messages from Spirit that I am honored to deliver to you today. My relationship with Indian men specifically has grown expansively over the years that I've been traveling between India and South Africa for 13 years. My journey to India started in 2013, and I was activated during the most devastating floods, the worst floods in over 88 years, to start providing relief, foot care, first aid, home-based care to sadhus and babas and any other poor and homeless person on the streets of Rishikesh. It brought me into contact with numerous men, of course, because mostly men are in this public space of servitude and relying on the established traditional ashrams in Rishikesh to help them, to feed them and to nourish them. And I got to see the worst of man in those environments. I got to see distorted figures, maimed, disabled, people that had lost their limbs, lost their spirits over time. And this activation was born out of motherly love. It was an angelic realization that happened to me when I got to see a version of myself that other people saw every day, but I didn't yet have my own realization of God consciousness, or what it was like to have that awakened sight where I could just live and breathe in that divine essence. I was called to become more feminine, to tap into my traits as a mother, to accept what I could and couldn't handle as a woman. And in all of this giving that I was doing, and my questioning of God, my acceptance of this karmic retribution and the purging that needed to happen. It was like I was in purgatory at the time, trying to release so much shame that was also potentially conditioned into me from childhood, from that masculine perspective, because this world is a masculine world. So this question that I was asking God, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I serving man in this way? The messages back to me were just, love all men. Love all men. Love all men. So I still have many friends, many male friends in India that I speak to on a daily basis. But this message from Spirit came through directly. For all of you, it doesn't matter who you are, but you are so blessed. I'm going to be reading a little bit of the notes. I have some things placed around me here today that is going to make this a little bit easier for me, if you don't mind, because there was such a lot of information I needed to make notes. So I've got my laptop in front of me and I will be referring to it now. You are sons, brothers, fathers, and your ancestors and generations ahead of you. And everybody on this earth, every person is created from a father and a mother, and the mother birthed you. There is such an incredible bond between the Creator and the child, and our connection to Mother Earth, Gaia, and the way we resonate in our natural environments, and how authentic we are when we are in that frequency of love, that divine feminine frequency that I was activated into when I was serving in India. You also have such a unique footprint, a freedom of movement, of choice, of dynamism, of endless opportunities that I don't even think any other country can match. I wish that our own South African country, our leaders and governments would look to India as a bridge to solving so many of our social issues. Most certainly the issue with poor and homeless people that India has to deal with because of numbers. And in this numbers game where you're all fighting for a place in the world, we can understand, I understand because I've been there, I've lived in that vibrancy, and I have to see it as a positive because it is moving. And I believe that it's a forward movement and a spiral movement and an upward movement. But in that pace, there is a requirement to look at the self, to detach and observe, so that there isn't this air of entitlement. For sure, you have entitlement when you go out into the street or when you walk out that door at any time of the day to have this audacity or entitlement to hold space for yourself, because there is so much going on. But in that, you also need to be humble. So please consider yourselves with gratitude for the ability to do that for yourself, to be more mindful, to slow the pace down. Any Western traveler, I could say most of us, and I will always have this longing as much as what I've been challenged and as difficult as things have been traveling in India, I would always have this longing to return. It feels sometimes that not just my spiritual journey was born in India, but I've rebirthed there so many times, being able to take the vision quest, being able to live more naturally according to my own rhythms and become a better version of myself. So I know the potential and the opportunity that is open to you to awaken and be fruitful and abundant. So there is a grace offered in India to Indians because of this dynamism. I'm not even going to call it overpopulation because it works. The high standards of domestic travel that is available for any Indian, whether it's by bus, rail, road, it's there, and I've experienced that too. And it's harnessed in such an easy way by even young people, even children that are out on the streets working, flower sellers, chai wallahs, people in cafes and restaurants, and all age groups. So I've been in environments in India where I've laughed and cried at the same time, and my nervous system has become balanced through this sensory overload. It becomes more natural to be moving faster. Whereas here in the West, where, okay, it's raining outside here now, it's our winter, there's very little ability for me to get out there. Whereas in India, this is all happening on the doorstep. And the body wants more. I want more of that. I accept and I forgive that if I'm on the road and I get into a confrontation with another driver, or there's something going on in oncoming traffic, or someone needs to pass me, that I am flowing in this as well, and I have just as much ability to weave and honk a horn and let people know I'm coming, as opposed to what I felt and feel is now starting to happen in a place like Rishikesh. Now, Rishikesh is the yoga capital. I feel like I've got to give you some of this backstory so that when I come to you with this truth about how you as Indian men can begin to have conversations and dialogue with each other about what is happening in certain areas in India, and hopefully more in centers like Rishikesh, that when you look at the news, when you look at the massive amounts of animal abuse and animal welfare stories that are coming out about abuse, and other random news events, road rage, domestic violence, can you not, as the brotherhoods, because I've seen groups of young men that have created brotherhoods that are supporting each other in their growth and different chapters, because many of you have known each other from childhood or from being in the same suburbs or circles in the cities or villages together, and you've watched each other grow up and you've become a close knit of boys or men that are going out on weekends together, that are going on holidays together. Specifically, my experiences on the banks of the Ganga River, when I've had the opportunity to engage with these groups of men that are going river rafting, that are coming from Delhi or other parts of northern India to Rishikesh on weekends, that are using the jeeps and the local traffic system to get around and